Do you feel unacknowledged in social groups, as if your presence doesn't really matter? If so, in this video, we're going to look at the possibilities of what could be driving this pattern for you and what to do about it. While there could be a range of reasons why an individual feels unseen and unacknowledged in a social setting, many people who are sensitive and deep and empathic tend to have this issue with feeling like they blend into the background. And I want to cut straight to the chase. The fact that you feel invisible does not mean that you are unworthy, even though the behavior of others around you may seem to reinforce that you're not important, that you don't matter in these situations. And I'm here to tell you that that's rubbish, if you do believe that. And it's hard to believe that, I suspect, even with me saying it, if you're one of those that doubts your worth and your importance because of how these social scenarios unfold. And that's because there's deeper reasons for that we'll come to in a moment. So what are the examples of feeling invisible in social context? We could have being spoken over the top of and cut off quite regularly. We can have being overlooked when there's decisions to be made, feeling like you're just blending into the background, struggling to insert yourself into the conversation, no matter how much you try. And the reason why these patterns tend to be maintained, as is the case with all patterns that human beings struggle to change, is that there is conditioning and unconscious beliefs maintaining the very thing that we're trying to change. So no matter how much we might go into a situation telling ourselves, I'm just going to speak up today, I'm just going to have my voice, I'm not going to hesitate, we slip into doing it as soon as we're in the situation because something deeper going on is driving our automatic response and overrides the conscious mind's attempt to push us over the line. So it could be beliefs like, I'm not important, people will judge me, what if I say the wrong thing? I don't belong. And these beliefs could have come from obvious events from childhood. Obviously, if you were teased or bullied or judged, laughed at, neglected, had dominant parents that just didn't allow you to have a voice. All of these could be reasons. And even if you were to say, well, I don't think any of those were strong for me and I was just born shy, well, I would still argue that that shyness was reinforced by certain ways that it was addressed during your childhood years, moving into it as you developed. And that reinforcing of you using avoidance to deal with your shyness strengthened it. And the fact that we have these beliefs running beneath the surface is not to be underestimated, because these beliefs are very much linked to our perception of survival. When we're young, we need a set of rules to help us navigate the world, to help us navigate our families, help us navigate going to school, being around other people. And if we took on the idea that it's not safe to be seen and heard, for example, as one of the unconscious beliefs, or I don't belong, it will predominate and, as I said before, try to override what the conscious mind seeks to do. Now, if you're not sure what could be driving your tendency to struggle to have a voice or engage in social settings, and it might not have been one of the examples I've given already, I'd encourage you to use a tool like the Enneagram, which is very handy in tracking down unconscious patterning and looking at your personality from a unconscious beliefs or parts perspective. And I have a free resource on my website to help you understand yourself a bit better on that front if you're not sure, or if you just like to enhance your awareness of yourself, even though you may have a suspicion as to why you are the way you are in social settings. So what can we do about it? Let's get practical. First of all, being more present is a starting point. Now, being more present can go either way. So for example, if you are someone that has too much internal focus when you are in a group setting, so too much in your thinking, too self-conscious, too worried about being judged, etc., then getting external is going to be very helpful. Making more eye contact, leaning forward in the seat, claiming the space in your body, literally feeling yourself more grounded and present, feeling the feet on the floor, breathing into the moment. And in the reverse, your approach to the present moment may be too external, whereby you're just too busy passively listening to what's going on, but you're not actually reflecting on your own thoughts, your own opinions. Maybe you've got into this pattern where you just listen and you're not actually registering that you've got opinions, that you've got thoughts to add to the conversation. So too much vaguing out and switching off to the external could equally be a problem. And getting present to your inner world, being aware of what you're thinking and feeling may be necessary. And then when it comes to engaging, finding a way to improve that engagement in social settings, then it's always going to be a balance of curiosity and sharing. Curiosity being the asking of questions. So even if a topic is unfolding around you and you don't have a great knowledge of that particular topic or an awareness of it, you can still ask questions to show that you're seeking to understand more. And those questions are not necessarily because you have a fascination with the topic that's being discussed, but that you are seeking to connect, that you have an interest in connecting with the people there, even if the topic of conversation isn't in your interest area. So that's where the curiosity comes in. And asking questions generally and can be the easier way to get engaged. So if someone's talking about a holiday experience they've had, you've never been to that country, you've never thought of going to that country, you can still ask questions about what the climate was like, what the landscape, what the people, whether it was expensive, etc. Same for a movie or some music or whatever the topic might be of discussion, you can always be curious. And then finding a way to then shift it to yourself. The sharing aspect is where you will get more involved. So using bridge phrases or segues to connect you into the conversation, such as, oh, that reminds me of a time when I did this. So they may be talking about a movie that you have nothing or no knowledge of, but something in the conversation might remind you of a story that you can then share to get you engaged. And just having a clear intention that you will come into these social scenarios with an intention to contribute, at least in some kind of way, will nudge you in the right direction. Then there's the preparation before going into these situations, so the inner mental preparation. So visualize yourself taking up the space before you enter situations. Literally seeing yourself going into a room or if it's a backyard barbecue or whatever the situation is, and this is my space, I deserve to be in this space. And that intention that you bring as well is that I allow myself to be seen and heard, I deserve to be seen and heard. It can be a way to empower yourself to feel strong and connected to the experience, grounding in with your breath and your posture, feeling the feet on the floor, feeling your energy expand out into the space around you. All energetic ways of feeling more connected with the experience that you're in. But the importance is to remember that you're not there to impress people, you are there to connect. As I said before with the curiosity questions, it's not necessarily to do with the content of the conversation at all. It's about you expressing yourself as a desire to connect to other individuals. And just by being present to that experience, and not focusing on perfection or saying the right thing or saying the funny thing, you will authentically bring whatever you're supposed to bring to that dynamic. And if by bringing these conscious strategies to play in social situations isn't enough, then it's a call to you to go deeper, to do the parts work, to find the parts of you that don't believe that you're worthy of being seen and heard, or don't believe you're safe to be seen and heard. And connect with those parts, interact with them, help them to perhaps realize that you're not that kid anymore that learnt that it wasn't safe to be seen and heard. But all through compassion, all through validating these parts. It's not through any force. Anyone who has looked into any kind of shadow work or parts work like the internal family systems model will know that all of the parts are valid. They're just there trying to do something to help you or protect you, if we're talking about protectors. And some parts are vulnerable and need love and support in other ways, simply through connecting with them and helping them unburden the anxiety or the fear that they might be carrying. If you think you might be too sensitive to energies in general, then there's a beautiful protocol, I guess, if you like, that I've been fortunate enough to come across in my universal consciousness training, called the empath journey. And it helps profoundly with people not being so sensitive to the energies around you. You can find out about doing that work with me on my website. And finally, it's about listening to your intuition as to how to operate in those situations. Your higher self, your inner guidance is there whispering away and supporting you in how to navigate those situations. And maybe your intuition is telling you that these aren't your people, that these situations aren't reflective of your authentic self. So don't assume that it's about you not fitting in for reasons that are fear-based. Sometimes the reasons that you're not fitting in are because they're not aligning with who you really are. But when you embrace the wholeness and the authenticity of who you are and have these deeper reflections, become more aligned with your authentic self, you'll naturally become a magnet for people. Thanks for watching.